Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to turn your post notifications so you don't miss any of our new videos. And now let's get right into it. Let me start off by saying that as far as I can remember, this is all true. It's not creepypasta or anything like my previous posts. There's no satisfying conclusion or an explanation, so if that's what you're here for, I'm sorry, but you won't find it. But this is how I remember it. It's a story of two incidents that occurred in my mother's house, separated by years of normality, the latest of which happening in the early hours of the morning, beginning the 26th of December, 2011, though the two events are years apart, the first happening when I was just a child. Not too young, but young enough to be terribly afraid of the dark. That's not to say I'm over it, it's just that bit harder to justify. Anyway, I'm getting off track. I've never been able to shake the feeling that, although years apart, for the sake of closure, let's say at least 8 or 10, that the two incidents are somehow connected. Like a lingering feeling that rears its ugly head as I lay mine down to sleep. A feeling that still haunts me. A feeling that it's not over. It could be another 10 years, it could be tonight. But whatever happened was too weak, too tame to just be finished. Back to what I came here to say, the first incident, the first encounter, if you will. Years back, one of the few memories of my childhood that unfortunately remains crystal clear in my head. I was watching TV in the attic. Now, our attic isn't a normal attic. It was converted to a bedroom, which is now used by my mother. It's nothing creepy or out of the ordinary. It wasn't an old black and white TV. It's a relatively new Daewoo flat screen, and the room is better furnished than my own. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked again. I just don't really want to think about it. I was watching TV in the attic, which is where our story starts. It was getting late. It was time for me to go to my own room and sleep. But because I was in the attic, the light downstairs was turned off, and it was dark down there. Like, really dark. I couldn't see an inch in front of me, so naturally I shied away from the challenge of the darkness. Of course, now I have a phone which, when needed, will provide some light. Nevertheless, I still move swiftly across the hallway. My mother said, "It'll be fine, just walk to your room and put the light on. Call me if something touches you." She chuckled. She used to wind me up with stuff like that, both her and my sister, but we'll get into that later. I did as instructed. I steadily made my way down the stairs and stepped out of the doorframe at the bottom. I was on my way. I turned back to face the stairs I had just come down when, to my immediate shock and horror, I did feel two. Not so light taps on my shoulder, not just a muscle spasm that felt like something touching me, but two very distinct taps on my right shoulder. I immediately ran back up the stairs and refused to leave. My mother and I have not spoken of it since. I didn't even tell her then, for fear of sounding stupid. Now, I am a rational person. Paranoid, but rational, and I have given this much thought over the past few months when I saw the connection. My first thought, as of late, was that I may have walked into the wall or something similar. However, having pondered this notion further, I've come to the conclusion that it just wasn't possible. The hallway isn't that narrow, and I was still stood quite close to the doorway into the attic. Also, if I had walked into the wall, I would have felt one thud as I hit it with my whole body, not two taps on the shoulder. Another thought was that my sister was hiding and waiting for me. Her cue was obviously, "Call me if something touches you." It wouldn't be unlikely, although I distinctly remember that she was staying with a friend on that particular evening. So, as of yet, I have been unable to rationalize, but the thought of the truth makes me very uneasy. The second incident happened, as I said, on December 26th, 2011, roughly 3 a.m. Now, I was exhausted Christmas Day, so I had no trouble getting to sleep. Hell, there's a lot of nights where I'm out pretty quickly. It's also quite common for me to wake up at around 3:30 a.m., as it usually is when I'm met with the familiar red glow of the alarm clock sitting next to my bed. This morning was different. Well, it was before I moved the clock close to the bed. It was on the other side of the room. I was in college at this point, and it was a ploy to get myself out of bed in a morning. I have a small bookcase next to the shelves parallel to my bed that I made when I was still in school to keep my shit neat. Another thing I should mention to this point before I'm too far gone is the fact that my older and only sister was staying with us for Christmas, which ties into what I said a while ago. Anyway, I awoke early in the morning as usual, checked the clock like I did to see how much time I had left to sleep, and I almost jumped right out of my fucking bed when I was met with an ear-to-ear grin on the face of the girl crouching behind my bookcase. At first, I thought it was my sister having snuck into my room, but it definitely wasn't. I mean, I'm no stranger to sleep paralysis hallucinations. I've had attempts at lucid dreaming go horribly wrong. But now, I could move. I mean, I almost ran for the fucking door. She was definitely there. I was properly awake. What other explanation could there be? And I know it wasn't just something I'd left on a chair or anything like that. She appeared to move slightly, ducking down further almost as she noticed I had seen her. I apologize. The next few minutes are a complete blur. All I remember is that before I went back to sleep, she was gone. I made sure of it. Ever since, I've never quite been able to shake the feeling that I'm being watched in my house. Even now, as I write this, I can't help but think someone's there. Since I was a child, I've walked through our hallway to the toilet and back. Not once have I managed to resist looking over my shoulder. It's not a case of waiting to see if anything happens next anymore. It's just being ready for when it does. But the girl looked no older than me. If she was always my age, she could only just reach my shoulders when we were kids. Has she always been here? I don't know. My head's a fucking mess now. I think I'm gonna sleep on it. Rest assured, you'll all find out as soon as possible if I see her again. I dread the thought of looking to check the clock early in the morning and seeing her black-toothed grin again. I'm on edge, and I don't know how much longer I can hold out before I tear this place apart to look for her. As far as I'm aware, no one ever died in this house. But every so often, I do hear something scratching, something inside the walls, and leads me to where I am this very second, alone, in the dark. You know that kind of darkness where it takes you a few seconds to realize that the figures standing all around your room are just things you left lying around. I left my wardrobe open. As stupid as it sounds, I'm expecting something to peer out from the darkness. I'm too nervous to fall asleep, for fear of waking up to her face. What if she's closer this time? What if she's just inching towards my bed every time I fall asleep? Fuck, it's been 3 days now. I'm not sure how much longer I can keep this up. I'm so fucking tired.